Hey everyone, Lewis aka Spider-Man 991 here with my weekly comic book review known as the Pull List, where I talk about the comic books I read that came out this week. These comics came out on April 4th, 2018, and I always review them with my least favorite comic to pick of the week. So let's get started. First off, Spider-Man number 239. Miles tracks down his Uncle Aaron and Aaron's version of the Sinister Six, who are getting ready to sell their stolen helicarrier. Aaron's team arrives in Latveria to see Lucia von Bardas, but Miles shows up with the champions in order to stop them. Well, basically, this is the second to last issue of Miles Morales that Brian Michael Bendis is writing, and it's just basically another superhero, supervillain brawl fest. I'm really hoping that the ending next issue will be better and a better farewell for Bendis' run on Miles. But right now, this was just pretty weak, so that's why it's pretty much why it's at the bottom of the list. Next up, Black Lightning Cold Dead Hands number 6, the conclusion to the 6-issue miniseries written by Black Lightning's original creator, Tony Isabella. Alright, well, in a nutshell, what happens is Black Lightning gets Tobias Whale monologuing so he can recharge his powers and kick Tobias's ass. Black Lightning also contacts Cyborg and Flash, who help him find and disable all of Whale's remaining warehouses of weapons, and that's really all that happens. Okay, well, the story was, I'd say, a good attempt at giving us an updated Year One type story for Black Lightning, especially since he's got a new TV series on the CW, which, if you're not watching, it is awesome. I've loved every episode of it. I wish I could say the same thing for this series, because it started off good. I really loved the first issue. I enjoyed it, but then it just really started to decline. If you saw my review from last month, then when I reviewed issue number 5, you'll understand what I meant by it. But now this ending, it was just incredibly weak. It was just not that great. Honestly, when I got to the end, I kind of thought to myself, is this a Black Lightning comic could I actually recommend this to anyone? Because originally when this was announced and I started reading it, I thought, okay, this could be a good thing to recommend to people who just knew about Black Lightning from the TV series, but I can't, because they don't have a lot of... The only connection that they would get from the TV show is just Jefferson and Lynn. That's it. They don't even have Gamby in this, which is a massive disappointment. And honestly, if there are other Black Lightning comics out there, and I recommend that if someone offers you the chance to read Cold Dead Hands, just skip it. All right, moving on. Nightwing number 42. Nightwing has to save Robin from a ninja cult. That's basically it. If Nightwing had an animated series, this would definitely be one of those weird one-off episodes that isn't really taking inspiration from anything and just people remember. If I had to make a comparison to this, if it was an episode of Batman the Animated Series, it'd be like those episodes of Batman the Animated Series that involve ninjas. And I don't mean League of Assassins. The artwork in this issue is pretty great, though. That is one of the good things. The story is set in Japan, and most of its artwork is definitely in a Japanese manga style. And it did kind of reminded me of Samurai Jack. But really, the story itself is just pretty weak. And the only reason I have this higher than Black Lightning on my list is because it has Damian and Dick teaming up again, and I like when those two are together. I really like their relationship in the comics, but this was clearly just sort of a one-off issue that's just basically filler until the new Nightwing writer Ben Percy takes over, I believe, with issue number 44 next month. So another filler issue until we got a new ongoing arc for Nightwing coming up. Astonishing X-Men number 10. The X-Men arrive to the Scottish village of Fetters Hill to take down Proteus, who has somehow spread his reality-altering powers to all the other citizens of the town so that they can also change reality to fit their image, and it is completely effed up. Honestly, the best thing that I like about this series is Charles Soule's writing. I mean, I like the way that he writes the voices for this particular group of X-Men, because he makes it clear that there's really no... While some of them do have relationships, there's just no real overall connecting friendship. Like for some X-Men titles, like X-Men Blue or X-Men Gold, you can clearly tell that this is a group that has worked together before and that they are good together, they're good friends. But this group, it's just a group of mutants that just know that they can do good, and their only reason they're together is just for work. That's it. The artwork styling of this issue was also pretty impressive. Well, actually, I'm kind of mixed on the artwork because it does a good job using double-page spreads to help sell the scale about how much of a threat Proteus is and how much damage reality-altering he's done. But the negative of that is it's sort of in line with the chaos, and the artwork itself is just pretty scattered and out there on every single page that it can get a little confusing or hard to read at times. I still liked it a little bit. I would honestly say that this is a pretty average read, and if you like X-Men stories, then I'd say pick it up. Next up, Green Arrow number 39. Okay, Oliver Queen attempts to deliver some foreign aid to a country in need, but unfortunately, they're overrun by warlords who are pretty much the children of the country. Honestly, this was actually a pretty interesting read. It's definitely continuing the spirit of Ben Percy's run, which ended last issue. We still have Oliver trying to do good in the world as a billionaire, but he's in a but putting him in a foreign country is definitely a good way to take him out of his usual urban surroundings, which is a nice change of pace. Also, this issue does a good job with Oliver's character and dialogue, sort of blending elements of the classic Silver Age Green Arrow with the modern Green Arrow that most fans know. If you like Ben Percy's run, I would say stick with this title because this story looks very interesting. Dr. Star and the Kingdom of Lost Tomorrows, number 2. Through flashbacks, we learned that Dr. Star was once contacted by an alien planet, and when he left his wife and son to go investigate what they need, and he learns that they're under attack from some huge monster. And when Dr. Stark goes to the planet nearby where the monster lives, it's near a black hole. And once he's done defeating the monster, he goes back to the planet, realizes that a bunch of people are older. Then when he returns to Earth, he learns that while it's only been a couple of hours for him, 18 years passed on Earth. And we then cut to the present where Jimmy Robinson, Dr. Star's real name, gets kicked out of his son's hospital room by his son Charlie's wife Rachel. And after he gets kicked out, he goes to a bar where he runs into his old superhero colleague Wingman. And while they're discussing these things, Dr. Robinson kind of decides to come out of retirement and use his abilities as Dr. Star to try to figure out how he can cure his son's cancer. And that's basically what happens in the issue. I did like this issue because it finally gives us an idea about what the purpose of this series is. And in this case, for Dr. Star, it's trying to cure his son in a way to make up for the fact that he has a very strenuous relationship with him. And the previous issue left the reader with the impression that Dr. Star is estranged from his son, and now we finally get an idea why, the 18-year time gap. Also, I think the flashbacks in this issue kind of give us an idea about where Dr. Star will go looking for a cure, and I think he'll start his search on Earth, but then he'll probably start exploring other planets he may have visited in his previous heroic adventures to figure out if they have some way to cure cancer for a human. And again, this series is definitely an homage to James Robinson's Starman run, so if you're a fan of that, and if you like Jeff Lemire's writing, I would highly recommend you check out Dr. Star. Alright, next up, Batman White Knight number 7. In order to defeat Neo Joker, Jack Napier does the one thing no one expected. He has to team up with Batman. Batman and Napier then lead the rest of the GCPD for one final assault against Neo Joker. And during this issue, we see that Napier is slowly losing control and the Joker's trying to get back. And the issue then ends with Napier and Batman in the Batmobile, and Napier suddenly and Batman says, okay, look, when we get there, you need to act like the Joker in order to distract Neo so that we can defeat her. And then suddenly Napier says, oh, I won't be acting, and then we see he's gone full Joker once again. The way this issue sort of teased us with the return of the Joker, then revealed that Napier has lost control at the end, was definitely a good build-up to it. I liked it. That was definitely a good setup for it. And one thing that this issue finally addresses is something that was sort of teased a couple of issues ago, is what happened to the Jason Todd of this universe. And it is not something that, and it's probably, I think, in my opinion, it's probably the darkest way the story of Jason Todd could have gone. I mean, it is just really messed up. Also, we learned in this issue that Joker did know Batman was Bruce Wayne, but he never did anything with that identity because he kept it to himself because he believed it gave him power over Batman. And also, Napier kind of finds out that during his research about the whole GCP, the whole Gotham emergency funds that were depleted because of the damages caused by Batman were actually replenished not by the taxpayers but by Wayne Enterprises. And so in that moment, we kind of understand that Jack Napier was wrong about a number of things. And up to this point, everyone has believed that Napier has been good, he's been right, but now we finally start to see the cracks in Napier's perfect vision. This series has been amazing. It is one of the best Batman Elseworlds tales I've ever read. Also, it's got a very nice indie feel to it. So I would say that if you know someone that loves indie comics or who prefers indie comics over the big two, but they still like Batman, then this is a title that they need to read. Superman number 44. While Superman fights Bizarro, Superboy informs him that there's a void growing in Bizarro World's core. And what this means is the planet is starting to collapse on itself. The hero, our small group of heroes, which is Superboy, Nobody, and Kathy, Superboy's friend from Hamilton, then team up with Boy-Zorro in order to free Bizarro's superhero team, but that still doesn't change Bizarro's mind, and eventually, though, the planet still starts to collapse and become destroyed. And Bizarro finds the only rocket, and he leaves Boy-Zorro to die. Fortunately, though, Superboy and Superman reopen their portal to Earth, and they take Boy-Zorro with him, and that's where the issue ends. I really like this. Issue. It did. I think the idea of Bizarro World collapsing because of Bizarro's connection to the planet, it really is, and they even reference this in the issue. It's a nice throwback to the Rebirth Annual for Superman, where Swamp Thing contacts Superman to let him know that his connection to the planet Earth is sort of disrupting it and ruining it, and it could lead to its destruction. Well, they fixed it in the Annual, so Earth is fine, but Bizarro World, on the other hand, not so much. I feel like that's very appropriate because this is going to be Pierre Tomasi and Patrick Gleason's. This is their second to last issue. Their run's about to end soon, which sucks, but it was a very impressive run. And it's good that they're able to recall that, especially for Superman's reverse villain, Bizarro. Also, I really liked how, at the end of the story, even though, and again, they really go to great lengths to show that Bizarro is the opposite of Superman. Superman's a good father, Bizarro is a horrible father. He leaves his son to die, but Superman and Superboy decide to take Boy-Zorro with them in order to save him. And that was a very lovely moment. That's what this whole run, to me, has been about. It's been about showing us why Superman is a great hero and why whenever people see Superman, it means hope. That's what Pierre Tomasi and Patrick Gleason have done for me for their Superman run. They've pretty much shown me, again, they've pretty much allowed me to reassociate Superman with hope again. The only drawback, though, with this issue is the majority is in Bizarro's speech, and that is, and when it's an entire issue, it can be confusing as hell. So, honestly, it's still a good issue. I love this Superman run. It's amazing. I think everyone should read it, but not everyone's gonna enjoy the Bizarro speech. Marvel 2-in-1 number 5. So basically, this issue takes place on alternate Earth, where during the Fantastic Four's first encounter with Galactus, the Thing died, and Dr. Doom saved the day by merging with Galactus to become the new Devourer of Worlds, and he devoured every single planet in the universe except for Earth, except for this version of Earth. Now, in the present, Galactus Doom is making his way back to Earth to devour the last planet. And our Thing and the 616 version of the Thing and Human Torch agree to work with the heroes to stop Galactus Doom. Meanwhile, Ben and Johnny's travel buddy, Dr. Rachna, reveals to the trio that she discovered that they had sort of a tailgater with them when they used the multisect. And their tailgater is the 616 version of Victor Von Doom. However, this time, Doom and Reed agree to work together in order to stop Galactadoom. This was still an amazing issue. My favorite moment was probably when Ben calls out the alternate version of Reed for giving up and being and he basically just nails into him and calls him a coward right to his face. And they also meet this world's version of Sue Storm, who is the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. When Ben calls out Reed for being a coward, and this sort of being the thing that sort of sets Reed back into action to help them figure out a way to stop Galactadoom, is, to me, a reason why the Fantastic Four need each other. And again, we have the plot reason why they have to be together again is because their powers are sort of dependent on being in close proximity to each other, but emotionally, as characters, they need each other because they work better as a group, they are a family, and they just need each other because they have a way of bringing out the best in everyone, and they have a way of bringing out the best in each other too. And basically seeing those moments pretty much showed me too that this pretty much shows why the Fantastic Four is unique and why they're probably one of the best characters Marvel has. Also, no one has exactly mentioned what happened to this Earth's version of Johnny Storm, and I did kind of start to put a theory together because last issue, the way it ended, we saw the singular Earth surrounded by some ring with a sun nearby it, and since we haven't seen this alternate version of Johnny, my theory is that the sun for this alternate Earth is Johnny Storm. Like, he is in some sort of state of constant supernova, in order to provide sunlight for the Earth. I mean, that's just a theory. It could be disproven. The Fantastic Four are going to be coming back this August. I cannot wait for their return, but until then, I'm going to be enjoying Marvel 2-in-1 because Marvel 2-in-1 has been hyping them up and showing us why the Fantastic Four are great and why they're probably one of Marvel's best comics. And speaking of best comics, my DC pick of the week is Batman number 44. There are two versions of this cover though. I got the version where Bruce Wayne's trying on his tuxedo and he sees Batman's reflection in the mirror. The other one is basically Selina in her wedding dress seeing Catwoman in the mirror. Just to let you know, there's two covers. Basically in this issue, Catwoman says yes to the dress, and Selina Kyle gets her wedding dress in a very Catwoman style. She basically sneaks out in the middle of the night at Wayne Manor, heads to a bridal store, breaks in, tries on a bunch of gowns, and steals the one that she wants. And my favorite part about this was when she gets back to Wayne Manor, she puts the gown up, and Alfred notices her, and she puts her finger on her lips near Alfred, and Alfred just gives her this little smile in the wink that's like, "Yes, I know what you did, Miss Kyle, and don't worry, your secret's safe with me." Like, when I saw that, I thought, yep, she definitely has Alfred's seal of approval. Also, this issue isn't just Selina trying on the wedding dresses. As she's trying them on, we're kind of seeing like different moments, different encounters of Batman and Catwoman throughout the years, going way back to Catwoman's first appearance in comics in general. And I just love the way the flashbacks retconned everything so that they were still like wearing the different types of costume, like how Batman's suit changes in every era, as well as Catwoman's costume. Like the way they recalled all the various costumes that the two characters have worn over the years was a big, huge thumbs up for the artwork team. I mean, honestly, the artwork of this issue was the best part. Jolie Jones did an amazing job with Selina's wedding dress, the dress that she chose. It is perfect for her. Also, the flashback scenes that I mentioned were done by Michael Janin, and he is a fantastic artist. I think on the last two issues of Batman for the Poison Ivy arc, I comment on his artwork, and it is really stunning how his artwork is very impressive. Also, I really loved how he recapped all of Catwoman's costumes, and not just like Catwoman costumes, but like even during the Golden Age when she wore like just a dress. Honestly, I think for me, Tom King's run on Batman hasn't really clicked with me until we got into the wedding stuff. Like right when Bruce Wayne proposed, I mean, I thought it was pretty good, and then when we started to enter the wedding period, this is where, you know, the series really, for me, started to hit hit. And honestly, Batman is one of the best comics DC's publishing right now, and you definitely need to be reading it. It is a fantastic series. I really love how they've been sort of leading us to Batman and Catwoman's wedding, which will take place in about 6 issues from now, so it's gonna happen, and I cannot wait to read it. Okay, now it's time for my last comic, my pick of the week. Amazing Spider-Man number 798. The Green Goblin arrives at the Daily Bugle and demands Spider-Man's presence. Peter quickly sneaks off so he can change into his outfit while the Daily Bugle employees start to evacuate. And there's even a funny line where as they're evacuating, Joe Robinson kind of says like, yeah, we kind of do this stuff all the time. Everyone knows what to do. And then Spidey fights the Green Goblin, but during their battle, the Goblin's tritium bomb goes off, which destroys the top floor of the Bugle building. Spider-Man recovers. He notices the Green Goblin is impaled on some rebar, and as he's there, the Goblin's seemingly dying, and Spider-Man says to himself, man, you're a dick, Norman, but I wish I could have saved you. To which Norman says, wish granted. Then he suddenly activates the Carnage symbiote, and Norman makes his first full appearance as the Red Goblin. And right when it happens, Spider-Man is freaked out. Like, he's just like, oh shit, he's got the Carnage symbiote. I'm out. He just like starts running off in order to get out of there. But Norman throws he throws the classic pumpkin bombs, but with Carnage symbiote, the Carnage symbiote affected. Well, I'm gonna call them Carnage bombs. Anyways, he throws them at him, and Spidey takes refuge in an abandoned warehouse, which Norman follows him. But while he's there, Red Goblin tells Spider-Man that he doesn't care whether Peter Parker lives, he just wants the spider gun, because Spider-Man is the one that always got his plan. So he makes Peter a deal. If Peter stops being Spider-Man, he won't kill everyone that Peter Parker knows. In response, Peter sends up his Spider-Man top on a flagpole and sets it on fire, which Norman takes as an agreement to their duel. However, we cut to Peter in hiding, and he says to himself, alright, if he doesn't want Spider-Man, fine. I'll defeat him as Peter Parker. And that's where the issue ends. This was an awesome issue. I loved it a lot. We've been hyping up the Norman Osborn as the Red Goblin for months now, and last issue I loved the reveal where we find out he learned Spider-Man's secret identity from Jameson. Now Peter witnesses Norman's new power, and the sequence that they did to bring him into power was absolutely exciting and terrifying at the same time. Like, right when he transforms, Peter's just like, oh shit. That moment was definitely entertaining, and something that, even though we've known for months that Norman is the Red Goblin, it's still an impressive thing to see. Also, the ending to this issue, where we have Peter saying to himself that, fine, I can't be Spider-Man, I'll defeat Norman as Peter Parker. It was a very nice parallel to the ending of Superior Spider-Man, where at the conclusion of that series, Peter as Spider-Man infected Norman with nanobots that destroyed the Goblin formula in Norman and made sure that he can never use it again. And at the end, Norman thought to himself, like, I don't have the Goblin anymore, so now you're going to be dealing with 100% pure Norman Osborn. Okay, it didn't work out for Norman, but I honestly think Peter is definitely going to do better. And right when I got to the ending, though, I kind of realized that maybe this has been the message of Dan Slott's Amazing Spider-Man arc, because I can think of so many times during his run where he's made it clear that Peter Parker is what makes Spider-Man special. Like Peter as a character is what makes the Spider-Man identity unique. It's what makes him. It's not his powers. It's not his gadgets. It's Peter, his character, his mind. Those are the things that make him great. And even in Peter and Norman's last encounter, when Norman figured out a way to disable his spider strength and his spider armor, Peter still managed to defeat him. And that's, I think, the message that we're getting with this final issue is it's not going to be Spider-Man that defeats the Red Goblin. It's going to be Peter Parker. Also going to be doing another written review of this issue on the Marvel Report. So if you want to check that out, just go to themarvelreport.com. Hopefully it should be up either the day this video is uploaded or the next day. Go Down Swing is progressing very well. I cannot wait to read the rest of it. I'm so glad that I don't have to wait till next month to read the next part, that it's coming out in just 2 weeks, and then we're gonna have 800 2 weeks after that. I've loved Dan Slott's run, and I am really loving his last arc too. Okay, that's it for my comic book review this week. Thank you again for watching. Remember, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. The links are in the description below. Username is still Spider-Man991. Just a little heads up. Remember to stay subscribed to the channel, because in 2 weeks I will start doing videos for Infinity War. I'm going to be doing 7 videos uploaded every day from 2 weeks from now until the official release date of Infinity War. So if you want to see those videos, remember to stay subscribed and notified on YouTube, as well as follow me on Twitter. That'll let you know when I always tweet when I upload a video, so you can see that. So if you don't want to click the bell icon, just follow me on Twitter. Alright, thank you again for watching. I'm Lewis, Spider-Man 921, saying see you later.